Padme
Gary
has turned to the dark side.
You're wrong. How could you even say that?
I have seen a
YouTube videogram
of him.
building a tank.
Not Arian. He couldn't. I don't believe you. I can't.
It's true. It's all true. Don't tell anyone though, will you? Please. And it all started on Christmas Day when I opened a parcel. In fact, there's two parcels involved here. One was from some friends, and when I opened the box, the first thing I opened the parcel, the first thing I saw was the Airfix and Revell logos, and I was like, oh, I wonder what these are. They're tanks. Not a bad thing, I know, but when you're used to building aircraft, it's like, hey, it's got wheels and a big gun. Where's the wings? But upon opening the box, it was actually Airfix's Cromwell 4 tank, the 1/72 scale. Which, the thing is, they'd actually built that before, a long time ago, back when I was a small child. I can still remember actually. It was a Christmas present, and my mum and dad had said to me, "Look, write down a list of all the kits that you want, and what we'll do is we'll select from that, so that you won't know exactly what you're getting." And I thought, well, that's a good idea. And they bought everything that was on the list. I got the entire list of kits that I wanted, of which Cromwell, I think it must have been 1/35 scale Cromwell tank was on that. Top of that list, however, was the big 1/24 scale Stuka, the Airfix Stuka. And I remember my friend, we lived in what's called a maisonette, which was like 5 stories on one side, of 2 blocks with an adjoining stairwell. My mate, who lived on the other block, he got the Stuka that same Christmas as well. And what we used to do was, back in the days when everybody in these buildings knew each other, you knew your neighbours and you knew them well, we used to sit out in the stairwell, or the landing as we used to call it. It's probably obviously in the middle of winter because it was Christmas time, and we'd put some newspapers down and we'd sit and build our kits right in the middle of the stairwell, and the neighbours would come past and, yeah, what are you doing? Oh, that's good, that's blah blah blah. I mean, you don't hear things like that happening now. I mean, it was great because, like I say, you knew all your neighbours, and they were like little vertical villages. I know that's an often used cliche, but it really was, especially for example at New Year in Scotland. New Year's Eve we call Hogmanay, and it's a tradition to go first footing. Now what that means is you go to someone's house after the bells have struck midnight and it's the New Year. You go to someone's house and you're the first person to walk across their threshold. You're the first foot over the door, and it's traditional to take a little gift with you, a little shortbread or a little cheese or something. It used to be a lump of coal. You know, here, put this in your hearth and warm the cockles of your heart, sort of thing. And I remember in these two big buildings, as I say, with the central stairwell, after the bells had struck, and you go from people's house, you know, you go from house to house, and they'd all have a big spread on with lots of little nibbles, and obviously for us there'd be lemonades and soft drinks and everything, and the adults would be having a wee nip. And you'd go to one person's house and you'd Happy New Year, blah 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 blah, you'd stay there for a little bit, then you'd move on to somebody else's house, and other people would be moving, you'd pass people in the stairwell, and there was just this fantastic atmosphere. And you just don't get that anymore. I can still remember the day when my mum said to me, you know what, Gary, from now on I want you to lock the front door. And I go, why? You know, because up until that point we'd always had the front door. How the hell did I get onto this? I was talking about tanks a minute ago, and now I'm talking about New Year's and locking doors. So yeah, I got the Cromwell 4 tank, and upon opening the box I noticed that it was obviously quite a new tooling. I don't know how new because I don't keep up to date with armour kits, as it were. But it looked very, very good. Nice crisp detailing and whatnot. So I decided to build it. Because building a tank, as I've seen on some other videos here on YouTube, Michael Hammaker-Barkas over in Germany, where he just builds the thing and then paints it. And again, it's that part of the modelling process that I rarely get to experience, because I tend to sort of build a little, paint a little, build a little, paint a little, build, and then, you know, piece together the big jigsaw. Whereas with a tank, you can build the thing almost entirely in one go and then paint it. Obviously there's a few wee things that you have to add on and whatnot, but again, it was great just to sort of cut all these bits off the sprue like I did with the X-Wing and just build the thing. Glue, and oh, it's great. And also when I started building it, it was because I had the intentions of again employing a process that Michael uses as, you know, for weathering, putting mud on the tracks and on the wheels and everything using the pigments. And also another process that I've seen by Louis Colodito 1 when he was building his Russian tank, using pastels and oil paints to sort of create tonal variations on the surface of the tank. Now, and the thing is, I haven't actually employed any of those methods with the Cromwell, just because it's 1/76 scale and it was kind of small, and I think those methods, I'm not saying that they can't be used on 1/76, but for me, I'd rather do that on something of a 1/35 nature. I'm going to use the oil paint method to weather the Hellcat, but I'm nowhere near that stage on that one. I've got myself a little set of oil paints and everything, but I just used kind of pigments to sort of give the weathering effect. It's quite mild weathering by my standards. On, of all things, a tank, which probably gets more weathering than anything that I've built anyway. So I did a few wee tweaks here and there as well, because, you know, it's me. I went for the Royal Horse Artillery version, which has the wading things, funnels, things fitted. I would call them raised air intakes, because that's what I call it on my Land Rover. There's a big raised air intake at the back that sits on obviously the engine's air intake, and there's another wading thing that sits on the turret. And what I did was I thinned, well, the one that sits on the turret I completely replaced with my own scratch built one made out of brass sheet to give that realistic metal thickness. And although I used the kit part on the rear funnel, I thinned it down as much as I could, or as much as I dare, without losing structural integrity. I love that expression. To give it a realistic metal thickness. I also put a couple of cable stays on it as well. The strange thing is, obviously you have to do a wee bit of research to find out what the hell you're doing. And it wasn't from actual pictures of real tanks that I found what I was looking for. It was from other aftermarket kits that I found online for other makes of Cromwell, other models of Cromwells, and it was that I used as my reference. Also, I replaced the machine guns. There's the turret machine gun, the one next to the main gun, and there's the lower gun. Sorry, I don't know the proper technical references for these things. I replaced them with aluminium tube, and again, just to give them a realistic barrel look. And I also replaced the light guards with thinner plastic rod, again, just so that they look more to scale, as it were. One of the other things that I did, just to add a little extra level of realism, if you like, was when I was spraying the turret, I employed a method that I actually stumbled upon when I was making the big Messerschmitt 109E4, when I was spraying the engine block, which was a semi-gloss black, the big DB601 engine. I kind of sprayed it a little bit too heavy, and as the paint sort of settled, it kind of left like an orange peel effect. The result was that it looked like a heavy metal casting. And of course the Cromwell uses these big armour plates on the turret, and I've seen some pictures of them where it is again that heavy casting look. So I did that, I sprayed it on, and what you do is you spray it on as heavy as you can without it running, and then you let it sit for about 10-20 minutes, and then you stipple it with a stiffish paintbrush, which leaves out these little indentations, and it just adds a little additional detail, realism, if you like. Of course the decals didn't really want to bed down into it, even though they're cartograph decals, and I used an extra strong setting solution. One of the things actually the Airfix have is the star roundel that goes on the top of the turret is, pardon me, is half on, half off of, I don't know if it's another hatch or some raised detail on the surface. Now it's quite a deep thing, whatever it is. And of course, if you have a finite amount of decal, if it has to travel in the vertical axis as well as the horizontal axis, the more vertical you have to go, the less horizontal you've got left. So the result was that when I put the decal on it, and as I say, used some very, very heavy setting solution, once it settled down, it kind of deformed it, made it a little bit sort of off. So I don't know how you would get around doing that other than painting it yourself, which would be a bit tricky at that scale. But anyway, it was good fun just to build the thing for the sake of building it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, so I think I'll have another go with armour, I think. It probably won't be things like main battle tanks. I tend to find them a bit samey. I like these oddities that you get, these little self-propelled guns. Rob Basic Modelling, he did one just recently. In fact, two tanks that I've actually built. This one, which is I'm still actually working on this one. This went together quite quickly because there's only 5 parts to it. It was a little, where's the box? Yeah, it is over here. It was one of these Zvezda. It's part of their sort of Art of Tactic wargaming thing. What is it? It's a Russian tank. T-34. Clueless with tanks. It was comprised of 5 parts, so it went together rather quickly. But these little wargaming, I've got the Sturmovik, the 144th Sturmovik, from that same range, and the detail on it is superb. I mean, there's little spades and shovels and tow ropes and spare bits of track and just excellent surface detail. So I'm working on that one as well. I've drilled out the gun just to make it look like it's an actual gun rather than just a big blob of plastic. But yeah, I'm having fun with these. Thank you, Rob, by the way, for that little gift. It was a little Christmas gift from Rob. I got him back. He was trying to take me out of my comfort zone, but I got him back by sending him a 144 Thunderbolt, just to take him out of his comfort zone. So there is what Christmas is all about, isn't it? Vengeance is a dish best served with Christmas pudding. What else am I up to? Well, the Hellcats is still exactly the same as the last time you saw it, which is like that, because I still haven't done any of the scratch building on there. It's Christmas and all those things. But our club, our model club, the East Nook Model Club, every other month we have a little competition. There's no prizes, or you just have the adulation of your peers, if even that. So we have a different themed competition every other month, and in February, our next club meet, the theme is the Navy. So basically any Navy will qualify for that. Obviously the Hellcat's not going to be ready in 3 weeks. So I had a quick look in the stash, because I thought, you know, I always miss the club nights. The Stuka, which was finished in March, maybe April of, in fact I think it was April of last year. That was actually something I started for the previous December's competition night. Missed it by 4 months. So I'm having a little go with something for the competition night, and it's a sweet 1/44th scale Wildcat. Remember in the last video I said I had a little resin cockpit, or the last video, the video before, I had a little resin cockpit that I bought at Telford, which was for a little for a Hellcat. Well, it wasn't a Hellcat, it was a Wildcat. Not that matters, does it? So I'm having a go with that, but I used the resin cockpit anyway, because I thought, you know what, I had a look online, and the Wildcat, the Hellcat, they're both made by Grumman, and there was a similarity between the interiors. And at 1/44 scale, you're not going to be able to notice anyway. So I'm having a go with that one, and again, as far as 1/44 scale kits go, trust me, if you haven't built a sweet kit, get one as soon as you possibly. If you like 1/44th, that is. These kits are amazing. I mean, I do have a few in the stash actually, but they are exquisite. I mean, we're talking recessed panel lines that are finer than some 1/48th scale kits, never mind 1/72nd. We're talking sublime surface detail here, rivet detail here, there's aileron actuators, just superb, absolutely superb. Fit is just, as you would expect from a Japanese manufacturer, just spot on. But now this must be a Japanese thing. They're a bit odd. I mean, I don't know what they were smoking when they came up with the box, I'll spit that again, the box art for this Wildcat, or FM2. Oh, look at this. I know the whole sort of anime thing is, you know, it's huge in Japan, but now, just give me 2 seconds. There's one of their other boxes, box art designs. Again, it's a 0. You get 2 kits in there. You always usually get 2 planes per box, unless there's something special with it, like I'll show you with the Wildcat. 2 very, very proud Japanese pilots standing next to their very, very beautiful Mitsubishi Zero. What the hell is going on here? We've got the director here, who also has NASA written on her chair and on her thing. We've got the little cat called Lucky, who is the clapperboard person. Poor little Zero, who's been dangled on a crane for some strange reason. And another little cat who's barbecuing a fish. Now the thing is, you get all these little cats in the kit. There they are there. Yep. 8 cats in box. In fact, there's all the cats there that you get to go with your FM2 Wildcat. I mean, there's even Decals that have their little eyes and paw marks and stuff, and this one's got a little sort of bow tie. And these are Cartograph Decals, I think. Yeah, printed by Cartograph. I mean, they're perfect, as you would expect from Cartograph, but what the hell is going on here? Now, I mean, this kit has actually only got the 1 plane in it, because you get the landing deck from the aircraft carrier, which is fantastic as well. I mean, just looking at there's actually, it looks like wood. I mean, at 1/44 scale wooden planks, and it's exquisite. And then on the back, you've got the conning tower, which you can cut out, and there's, you know, you fold these little flaps back so that it can actually sit there next to that. And you've got the little girl, the little anime girl, and more cats, and a red and a green explosion, and I want some of that stuff. But anyway, so to the Wildcat, and also on the instructions, they pop up all over the place, the little cats, little hints. I've no idea, they're completely in Japanese, so I have absolutely no idea what's going on. But then you do get a very, very good set of painting instructions, and quite a range of decal options as well. Very odd. Very enjoyable though, but... So, one of the things that I'm doing with the Wildcat, I keep wanting to call it a Hellcat, is because I've put that detailed resin cockpit in there. Again, if I use the granted very, very clear and thin 1/44 scale beautifully moulded canopy, it still obscures it all. So I decided to cut the canopy and see if I can nest the kit part onto the fuselage by thinning down the shoulder area, just where the canopy would slide over. That wasn't working, so it was out with the old vac form again. It's a very simple canopy to form, but rather than using the canopy itself, because when you use the plastic, and I noticed this with the Stuka, when you put the plastic piece on and then plunge or suck a piece of hot acetate over it, it eventually cracks. And if you don't get it right, in fact it cracks quite quickly, and if you don't get it right, then you've lost your original piece. So what I did was, it was very simple. I just made a piece of brass, I bent a bit of brass so that it looked similar to the, well, followed the shape of the aircraft, shall we say. Doing this also enabled me to make this slightly smaller than the kit part. That was one of the disadvantages I noticed with the Stuka, that by using the kit part and then moulding a piece of plastic over it, the resultant part was actually larger, obviously because it was on top of the original kit part. So there was a slight disproportionality, if that's a word. Doing this, I actually made this slightly smaller than the overall size of the original part, so that the part that I'm left with fits it a little bit better. So that's where I am at the moment. More kits started, less kits finished. But yeah, I'm definitely going to have me some more armour. I really enjoyed making that tank, and I'm quite chuffed with the result. I mean, I don't know if it is a good tank model or not. I'm happy with it, which at the end of the day is really all that really matters, isn't it? We're not doing this for anybody else, even though I do show some of my stuff. But that's only because I'm actually really happy. Well, am I really happy? Have I ever been really happy with any kit that I've actually made? No, not really. Which is a good thing, because that then makes you strive to be better the next time. I mean, I would say I am about 35% of where I really want to be on the scale of, obviously, 100. I have a long way to go for my own personal aspirations within the model making milieu, as it were, but that's good, because that's what keeps you going. Once you reach that point where you think you can't, when you think you can't learn anything else, that's when you learn the most important lesson of all, and that's that you actually know all, basically. But anyway, sorry for just waffling on. By the way, listen, do you hear that? Well, that's actually my dog licking his... Hey, oi! Just give me just a minute, and you can go back to that in a second. Yeah. Do you hear that? I remember to switch the laptop off this time, so you don't have that incessant all the way through the video. Now you've got a dog licking his thing. So maybe I should leave the laptop on next time. Anyway, that's all for now, folks. Boom.